December the 5th, 1995. My name is Dr. David Lissak. My colleague is Sarah Tobin. We are here to interview Mrs. Mitzi Kerner, who is a survivor of the Holocaust. The videographer today is Ira Salzman. We are making this video under the auspices of the Montreal Holocaust Memorial Center. The purpose of this interview is to add to the oral history of the Holocaust. Mitzi, as a beginning, will you kindly state your name and when and where you were born, and then follow it up with the story of your life.
My name is Mitzi Kerner. I was born in Suceava, in the Bukovina. As my father died when I was 2.5 years old, my mother went to Gora Homora, where she lived with her parents. And in 1921, when I started school, the First War ended. And it started with the Romanian language. We spoke at home only German. And it was very hard for young children to learn Romanian. When I was 9 years old, my mother remarried, and she went to the suburbs from Czernowitz, and I remained with my grandparents. At the age of 9, I attended in Czernowitz a private school. My mother thought that she married a very rich man, and in this private school it was taught French from the first grade. When I came there, I started there from the second grade, and I was the second and the third grade in this private school, Romanian, and a little French I started there, and piano lessons they gave. My mother said she couldn't afford it, so she took me out from there, and I went back to Gora Homora to my grandparents. And I attended there the school till 1915. 1915, I came back to Sadagora, where my mother was remarried the second time, and I attended the Handelsakademie, how do you say it? And I started working at a very early age in a bank in Sadagora for 5 years. After the bank closed, in account of the bankruptcy of the lenders of the money, the bank went bankrupt because the government, now I remember the name, it was called Konvertierung. They didn't have to pay back the money. So the depositors were very angry, and the bank didn't have the money to pay. So I started to work in Czernowitz. From 15 till 5 years I worked in the bank. And in Czernowitz I worked other works, and I went to the Hakshara. And we wanted to go to Israel. I have a few pictures here.
Explain to us, please, what is a Hakshara?
The Hakshara means Chalutzim, if you ever heard the word Chalutzim. This was an organization from the Allgemeine Zionisten who they worked for 1 year, very hard to work on the field and in the factory. My mother was the unhappiest person. I was the only daughter. And to see me going to live with boys and girls together was a shame. But probably I was stubborn as a little child, that I grew up without parents, you can say, without a mother and without a father, only protected by the grandfather. I went, and it was very hard time for her to see me working on the field.
Was this in preparation for?
This was in preparation, in preparation to go to Israel, like the kibbutzim. We did there the work.
We'd like to know a little bit about the orientation in your family with regards to Jewish observance and with regards to political orientation as
The
well.
grandfather was very religious. The children, I have here pictures, you will see. Nobody with a yarmulke, only my grandfather, but very much protected was I, the oldest granddaughter, probably because I didn't have a father and my mother couldn't take care of me. So the relationship between the grandfather and me was especially warm. And even now I try to keep the relationship with my granddaughter this way. I could turn him around my finger, but not the children. To the children, he was very, very strict. He wouldn't let them to use the transportation by train or whatever it was. But I was allowed to do it. And this was something maybe I habe es ausgenutzt. How do you say it? I took advantage, yeah. Because my auntie was only, she's still alive. She's 88 years old now. And there was a little bit rivalry. This, what she couldn't do, I was allowed to do.
What was the political orientation?
The political was anti-Semitic. By Kusa, at that time it was not the Germans. Kusa was a big anti-Semite. And the students, when they had to go after high school, gymnasium, it was called there, was not so hard, but when they had to study further, like medicine, engineer, they had to go abroad to Italy, France, Germany to study. Or you had to smear Geld. But the faculties were more, the students who wanted, was very limited in Romania. They had universities, but not for the Jewish people. And when the Russians were supposed to come to us, some of them, there were many left-oriented, or how do you say it? And we were happy that the Russians are coming to us. Some of the ones who were left,
Some of the Jews.
the right wing were very much for Hitler to come, that he should. It was very, very unpleasant years. My husband, no, I married in 1937, but my husband was from Poland, and he was a legionnaire, and he was there in the parliament, a big shot. He didn't have high education, but somehow everyone thought that he's highly educated. And when he went to the parliament, he wanted to take me with him in Poland from the Romanian, but I didn't want to go. I spoke German, and the Polish people didn't want to hear the German because they were already enemies with the German people at that time. This was in 1939, before the Russian came. The Russian came in 1940. Some were very happy. Under these happy ones, it was me too. And Stalin was on the wall in my bedroom, but Polzutsky, the Polish, had to go down. And we lived for 1 year. So soon as the Russian came, the communismus died. They forced us to talk Russian, and it didn't exist like here with the French, that some people don't know one word French. It didn't exist there. Overnight, everyone became bilingual or trilingual, and in discourse were changed immediately to Russian. Not other language was allowed. So it was very hard. And then they took the businesses away from the Jewish people. And what gesucht a joke, was gefragt, how are you? Is an invalid. How come that you are an invalid? Ik zei, du hast Hand und du hast Fies. Ich bin ein Invalid, das muss man wegnehmen in meine Business. bin ich geblieben, also wie ohne Hände und ohne Fies. And this was with everyone. We became very, very poor, and nothing on the products. You could see it immediately that the people didn't have, the stores were closed up.
How did your husband make a living before?
My husband made a living. We had a field in wood that it was rented from a big rancher, and we sold the wood, which for burning the houses and for building, the, how do you call it here,
For construction.
yeah, for construction, lumber, the lumber yards. And this was one thing. And the other thing was the field, that it was the corn, the wheat, it was flach. It was a very rich country, like the Mamaliga, and all the wheat and corn and moon, which has the opium. When we were eating the moon, we didn't realize that it is opium, but we just went in the field and we were eating it. This was there where my parents lived. But as I said before, I was very little with my parents together. I was always away. And after the Hakshara, when I came back, it was I married my husband in 1937. So with promises that we are going to Romania, to the main important capital from Romania, but things happened that people were afraid to go to Romania, and we stayed.
What happened to you
In 1940, the first, how do you call it, the military came in, and the communists came with a red flag to us. It was like killing us. But as I was a little bit a leftist, in my heart, I was very happy. So I said, if they take away the field, so what? Every one of us will have the same thing, so what? I'm not supposed to have more than the other one. And so the other one were thinking. And soon we knew that it was very bad, especially the communists who tried to run over the border. The border was always closed. You couldn't get in from here to Chamedy. It was no border open to Russia. And this year, we suffered a lot. And on the field that belongs to us, it was in September, there were a few snow flurries. And my husband got a job in the city. And the Nachalnik said, the field was with Zuckerriemen, that means the Zuckerriemen, would you help me what it is? The barricades for Zucker, which was converted to sugar.
Beets.
And so the beets, the white beets for sugar. And the man came from the Russian already and said, it has, in 3 days, it has to be everything out. If not, it's jail. But the farmers didn't want to come anymore to work for us. So I was the only one who went on the field with the serpent, sitting down and hacking the burkes. How much could I take if it was miles? And I was doing it, and the farmers passed by, and they said, Bože pomahaj. That means God will help you. This is what you always said if the farmers are working on the field. God help you. So, but we suffered under this, is not to describe. We were not used to work. We were middle class, we were not, but the one from the upper class, they went immediately away to Germany. And their laws was also not a good one. They went to Romania first. They were arrested from the Germans. And the farmers from us went to Germany, and we remained. We went to the priest and we bought from him wheat and corn, whatever he had, because he went too. And they were carrying it home. I didn't carry it on my back. It was a horse and carriage. It was a few houses apart. And I took flowers, plants from the priest. And I met the farmer, and he was asking me, tell me, for whom will you leave it? And I said, we are not going away from here. This was in 1940. But in 1941, a knock at the door at 3 o'clock at night. Our best friends, our best neighbors, my husband was very good with everyone, very well liked. They came into the room, said, talk to us, we were in bed. And he said, take a few things, you have to leave the house. And I was so stupid. He said, if you want, you can drink something. And I said, yes, would you like a coffee? He said, no, you just take for you and your husband. And we had a radio in the house. And this was very seldom there because we didn't have electricity at that time. And all the people came to us to listen to the radio. This was in the night from the 12th of June of the 13th of June. And they took us away forever. And they separated us. We went together away for a few miles, 15 miles, with horse and carriage. And then came a big bus, a truck, and took us over to the station. And there started this screaming, where are our husbands? Where are the children? They said, it's not nice that we should ride together. The men are separate, they will follow us.
Was this only the Jews or others?
No. The Christians too, the Christians too, yeah. Because by the Russian, there was not, it was their enemies. My husband was a Zionist, and then the middle class bourgeois, they called it, as spies, as if we would be the spy. And we came to a station, and there was this screaming, it's not to believe from all the people. Where are the people? Where are we? We didn't know where we are going. And looking out from the window, it was cattle trains, and I met a neighbor from my mother, and I screamed out to him,